Hey guys, what's up? GreenMachineSam back with another video, and unfortunately, the clips that you're going to be seeing don't have live audio. But we are doing an Atlanta Falcons rebuild. Now, it's only for the first tiny bit of the actual rebuild that I won't have live audio for. I'm just going to have to re-record over it. Let's just get one thing straight. This team's not very good. It's just not. The interior offensive line is average at best, with Chris Lindstrom being one of the best right guards in the NFL last year. Their tackles are okay. They could be better. The weapons outside of London and Pitts just aren't there. You know, Tyler Allgeier's fine. Cordell Patterson's fine. But any guys that you do have are either old or just not there entirely. So it's kind of hard to, say. The defense, like the offense, just not a whole ton of weapons, not a whole ton of value over here on this side of the ball. Every single person it seems like they've taken on that interior defense line hasn't worked out, as well as linebackers. They just haven't really been able to develop. A.J. Terrell and Richie Grant are two of the really only bright spots on this defense. Now, I know you have Ebiketie, Lorenzo Carter, Grady Jarrett, Mikael Walker, Rashaan Evans. I know those guys are all good in real life, but they're not really winning you any games. They're not making your defense that much better outside of A.J. Terrell. Grady Jarrett's fine, but hey, looking at some of the re-signs, I just didn't really love anybody, at least in terms of bringing them back in the re-sign period. If you do not know, it's cheaper to bring them back in free agency if you're not 100% set on them. Some of the key free agents we are going after, at least in this first week, include Jamel Dean, Javon Hargrave, Von Bell, Sterling Shepard, and Deion Jones. Now, these guys aren't world changers, but they are good key veterans that can come in, help out right away, and just fill some holes for at least a couple years. Jamel Dean and Javon Hargrave both signed with us, which are both key free agents in this first year. Gives us cornerback depth and defensive tackle depth. Von Bell, Sterling Shepard, Lorenzo Carter, Deion Jones, and Bilal Nichols are the guys we are going after in eval period 2. All just solid veterans at this point. Von Bell, the only one to sign in this period. Going after some key veterans again in eval period 3, Lorenzo Carter, Anthony Walker, Richie James, Caleb McRae, and then you won't see him for a second or two, but Demarcus Robinson at the bottom. So I decided to hop forward a bit and just show you guys basically all the signings that I had. Now, we got a lot of key veteran pieces, some young guys to come in and fill those special team roles, as well as just some good backup depth going forward. I just felt like it wasn't necessary going over every little guy I signed and what contracts I was giving them. Just know that these are the guys that I decided to bring in, and they will play a variety of roles for me, whether it's a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Like Akeem Hicks, DeMonte KZ, and Justin Houston got pretty expensive short-term deals. Looking at the team after free agency, we definitely helped out a lot of key spots. Now, we didn't do anything too spectacular where it's going to be an automatic turnaround in season 1, but we did go and get some key backups. And we ended up filling out this team pretty well. I think this would be a respectable team in the NFC South in real life. Now, we're nothing special and we're not going to go out and win the Super Bowl year 1, but it definitely is a good change in direction. We do have some very good veterans that are on expensive deals, but they're only going to be here for a short period of time. So the reason why I'm trading back here in this clip, and especially at pick 8 with the Bucks, is because the Bucks offered me the best deal. I couldn't even get this deal when I went and tried to do it myself, and the CPU completely fucked me in scouting. Only quarterbacks and defensive tackles were scouted, and I felt like I didn't need to take one of those right away. So these next couple clips, like I said, are literally just trade downs because I didn't want to take a quarterback. I didn't want to take a defensive tackle. It just wasn't the right time or opportunity to do so. Plus, the quarterbacks were pretty dog shit anyway, so I just didn't pick anybody. Now, you will see me trade down with the Eagles and the 49ers. I basically clear out all their draft picks of next year. The Eagles I did by the end of this. Now, after these trade downs and stuff, you will see and hear from me in the live audio from the clips that I was using. So after this, it won't be me re-recording over them. It will be live audio containing this rebuild. So I will see you guys at the end of the video then. Let's get started with season 1. Now, we have cut down to 53 players as I did trade a number of players away. Well, only 3 away to the Green Bay Packers for a 7th. Because if I cut them, they're more than likely going to stay in free agency forever and eventually retire after this year. Now, I don't expect us to win a whole ton of games, and I don't expect us to make a whole ton of moves at the deadline. At week 8, we are 3-4. We got destroyed by the Saints last week. In negotiations, Lindstrom we have to bring back. Everybody else can walk. Yeah, literally everybody else can walk. Depending on how Hennessy and Walker develop in this next half season, will determine whether or not they come back. But Lindstrom definitely has to come back next year. So at the end of the season, I didn't get Chris Lindstrom re-signed yet. Hopefully, I can get that done during the re-sign period. But we went 8-9 and missed the playoffs. So we were the 3rd seed in our own division when we all tied for 8-9. I'm gonna be honest. I was looking at just the team stats in general, and I decided to fire the defensive coordinator after the fucking terrible defensive stats that will show up on the screen. You know, we're 22nd in yards, we're 31st in points, allowed, all types of shit. But let's go look at individual stats. Desmond Ridder almost throws for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 28 picks. That's not good. When you're throwing for 1.5 interceptions or more, I don't know the exact math per game, that kind of fucking sucks. But, when you have no run game, you're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Tyler Algier had 13 touchdowns, almost 800 yards, but he struggled. Cordell Patterson also 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. It just wasn't a great season from the running back group. We're going to have to upgrade there. But Drake London, 97 catches, 1,566 yards, 17 touchdowns. He balled the fuck out. That's why you put a player that you want to develop fast in the slot. Kyle Pitts, 95 catches, 1,166 yards, 8 touchdowns. Richie James, 80 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Marquez Callaway, 57 catches, 722 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Hell of a year, especially from Drake London. Sack numbers are always kind of fucked in this game, so I'm not really going to look at those too much. Mykal Walker had 157 tackles, 20 tackles for loss for Grady Jarrett, 16 for Javon Hargrave, 15 for D'Angelo Malone, 11 for Ebiketie, and 7 for Akeem Hicks. Very good season from them. 8 sacks for Grady Jarrett, 6 for Javon Hargrave, 5 for Ebiketie, 2.5 for Malone, 1.5 and 1 from both the Walkers. Would be pretty cool if they were related, but I know they're not. 3 picks for Von Bell, 3 for Casey Hayward, 2 for Jamel Dean, 2 for AJ Terrell, and then 1 apiece for both the Walkers. I don't really look at picks as a great thing for defensive backs. It means you're getting picked on a lot. At least that's what I think anyway. You can have your own opinions on it, but that's kind of what I look at. 1 block for Javon Hargrave, no touchdowns. Just some more notable stuff. Drake London came in 3rd in Offensive Player of the Year. Granted, none of our guys made the MVP leaderboard. So the thought process basically is still going to stay the same. As much as I like McGray, as much as I like Mykal Walker and others on this board, I just can't justify bringing anybody back. Hennessy, if he comes back for this for 3 years at $5 million a year, I would definitely take it. But he does resign. He has to resign. If he doesn't, he's getting franchise tagged. Yeah, you're getting franchise tagged. Fuck you. You're staying here. $16 million a year, that's fine. So, I know our defense played really bad last season, but I'm going after basically offense. Gabe Davis has no offers on him. I'm going to throw him an offer, see if I can go get him. Junior, we're going to go after. If we can just get a guy that I think is going to be our left tackle forever, that's fine with me. Jeff Okudah was actually one of the first corners that didn't have any offers on him, so even though he has no interest in coming here, going to throw him a decent contract, see if he'll come. Antonio Gibson will be that receiving back to pair up with Tyler Algier, and then Brian Balaga is the best right tackle available that had no offers on him, that also had some interest in us. So, with getting basically our full free agency class, we are going after just some veteran guys. I'm going to try to fill in the roster as best as I can. I don't want to spend all the money, but I will have to spend probably a good chunk of it. Just going after guys to fill out the roster. Nothing too special here. Just trying to fill out the roster the best we can. So Gabe Davis, Jedrick Wills, Jeff Okudah, Bobby Wagner, Antonio Gibson, Frank Clark, Danico Autry, Greedy Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, Bobby McClain, Brian Balaga, Damian Wilson, Dean Lowry, Tim Settle, Mo Alley Cox, Jack Sanborn, Kayvon Chason, Aloy Gilman, Cedric Redwine, and Greg Little. Some of these guys could be cut, of course, during the preseason.
So we're going to try to trade up. So the biggest thing now is trading up above where the quarterback is supposed to go. We could take the quarterback of the future. Oh, okay. Wow, they valued that a lot more than I did. Okay. We're going to be taking Will Turner out of Nebraska. He looks pretty solid for a quarterback. I'm hoping mid-70s. 74, 73 would be great. Anything above that would be fantastic. I know Desmond Ridder just had a very good season, but with him already having 2 years off of his contract, it's hard to sit here and justify continuing to go with him when we could bring in a quarterback that could get Offensive Rookie of the Year, that could become a great quarterback for us. Will Turner, hidden dev trait, 97 throw power. Okay, I cannot let the Cowboys take the player that I think they might take, so I'm jumping them. I'm going to give them my 1 that's right behind them and 2 sixes, and we're going to go take the guy that I want. I just think he's going to be the best player for us. Corey Whitfield, 6'3", man corner out of Oklahoma, 94 speed. He had great physicals at the draft. They had him mocked to us. I'm going to take him anyway. Normal development kind of sucks. His athletic ratings are pretty good. He'll be an instant upgrade over Malone. I just don't know if he'll start over some of the veteran pieces that we have right now. Ethan Devine, we're going to be taking at the 25th overall pick out of Texas, 21, 6'4", 315. He's going to come in and play that right tackle position. He does have hidden dev trait, 89 strength, 73 speed, so he's a pretty decent athlete, all things considered. He'll come in, start at that right tackle position. Harrington out of North Carolina, 23 years old, 5'10", 188. His physicals is what really separates him. 4.24, good acceleration, elite agility, elite change of direction, great jumping, elite speed, solid strength. He has 99 speed, 91 acceleration, 95 agility and change of direction, 90 jumping with hidden dev trait. He's going to be a weapon. I really have a whole ton of people I want to take this early in the draft, so I'm just going to start packaging picks together and trading them for first, hopefully. Let's go with the Ravens. See if they'll do this. They do. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to start packaging picks together. I'm late first round picks. There we go. So the Eagles will get back up in this draft. Probably should have done this one on the fucking Eagles, to be honest. Let's see. The Chargers will accept that. This year, go to the Texans for their 3 of next year. Just one of the higher picks that we could get. Guy that just has very good physicals. He's not the greatest route runner. Good, just athletic wide receiver here in the 5th. And he has 97 speed, 97 acceleration, 93 agility, 87 change of direction. Again, Franklin Benedict here. So, taking him out of Notre Dame. So overall, we did pretty well. I think we got our draft class. I think we got some cornerstones set in place now. Let's go ahead and get to the next season. I put Jake Matthews, I put Taylor Heineke and Marquez Callaway all up on the trade block. Jake Matthews was the only guy to really get a bite. But we're going to be trading him to the Colts. We're not going to be taking what they offered. I'm just going to go after a first from them, see if they'll give us that for all 3 of these players. And they do. Steelers are going to be taking a little bit of cap off our hands. They're going to be taking Brian Bulaga, Shai Tuttle, and Eric Rowe for a 5th round pick. The Cardinals really like this package. We brought in other guys to play that backup role. Let's just trade them away for a 7th. Before we head into Season 2, we are at the regular season already. So let's go into adjust lineup, and I will show you the team off. We have our brand new quarterback in Will Turner. Desmond Ridder's backing him up. Tyler Algier and Antonio Gibson are going to be our running back duo. Drake London, Joe Carrington, Robert Stovall, Gabe Davis, Richie James, and Greg Bolden are going to be our wide receivers. Jesus. Greg Bolden has star or better. Fuck it. You're playing 4th then. Didn't even notice that. Jedrick Wills is going to be our new left tackle. We did end up trading Jake Matthews away. Matt Hennessy is still here. Drew Dahlman is here. Chris Lindstrom and Ethan Devine. Kyle Pitts and Mo Alley Cox are going to be our 2 tight ends. Defensively, Grady Jarrett, Javon Hargrave, and Danico Autry are all of our interior defensive linemen. Jamel Dean, Jeff Okuda, AJ Terrell, Corey Whitfield, and Greedy Williams will be our corners. Richie Grant is going to be our free safety. Jeff Okuda is going to be playing both those backup safety roles. Matthew McCain, Frank Clark, and Dorrance Armstrong are going to be some of our edge rushers. Anthony Walker, Bobby Wagner, Jack Sanborn, and Mac Wilson will be our middle backers. Ebiketie, Malone, and Chason are going to be our other edge rushers. I mean, we were 1 win away from being in the playoffs last year. I don't see why we would take a step back. Now, for some reason, this rookie quarterback struggles. We will go back to Desmond Ridder.
At the midseason mark, we are 4-2. So doing pretty well, all things considered. We are third in the division, though. Panthers and Saints have both played one more game, and they've both won their games. So they're going to be ahead of us in that category. Now let's go take a look at the resign period, and we'll go over some stuff there. So some of the people that we will have to negotiate with include Chris Lindstrom, AJ Terrell, Von Bell, Javon Hargrave, Bobby Wagner, Anthony Walker, Richie James, Nico Autry, Frank Clark, Richie Grant, Bobby McCain, Drew Dahlman, Taquan Graham, and Jalen Mayfield. Now, a lot of these guys don't serve a whole ton of value, but there's definitely guys that we have to bring back, including AJ Terrell and Chris Lindstrom. The rest we could almost let walk, but Drew Dahlman, depending on how well he develops in this last year, could come back, as well as Richie Grant. Taquan Graham I would love to bring back, but the storyline just isn't quite there. Chris Lindstrom's going to get a 3-year, $8.5 salary, $6.5 bonus. He does sign. This is what I tried to give him last year, and he didn't sign, so it's kind of weird that he wants to sign now. We will still continue to go after AJ Terrell as well. We're going to give him a 7-year, $9 million salary, $7 million bonus, and he will sign as well. A little bit easier to sign because he actually wants to stay here. At the end of the season, we went 12-5, vastly improving on our record last year of 8-9. We also developed really well, which I'm going to show you here just in a second. Will Turner ended up having superstar X Factor as well as Joe Carrington. Greg Bolden we have not learned yet because of the fact that he just hasn't seen the field enough. Corey Whitfield also had X Factor, so he will actually be moving up in our depth chart once again. The team's looking pretty nice. You may be asking how the offensive line got so developed so fast. I got 2 of the in the trenches bonuses, so that's why they developed so heavily. Now, our front 7 still could use some work, but our back half of the defense is very great, as well as our weapons on the outside are super fantastic. Now let's advance to the NFC divisional round of the playoffs. We're going to be taking on the 10-7 Detroit Lions, led by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, we won't be hopping into the game, but we will be watching the live simulation of it. We ended up losing our very first playoff game. Now, it came down to the wire as no real offense was really happening until about the 4th quarter. But still, this is a developmental phase. We're only in Season 2, so let's get things underway for Season 3. Will Turner ended up having 4,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and a 67 completion percentage. Interceptions down from last year where Desmond Ridder was. Touchdowns are down, yards are down, but hey, less interceptions is a lot better than losing like 3 touchdowns. Tyler Algier ended up running the ball 285 times for 1,135 yards with a 4.0 average and 16 touchdowns. Above average, but still not as good as where we need him to be. Drake London ended up having 85 receptions for 1,349 yards, 12 TDs. Kyle Pitts, 109 catches for 1,241 yards, 8 TDs. Gabe Davis, 80 receptions for 1,025 yards, 4 TDs. And Joe Carrington, 54 catches, 777 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Richie James even got involved with 21 catches. Overall, very good year. As you can see, the slot really pays off for some players. On the defensive side of the ball, Anthony Walker, Bobby Wagner, and Jamel Dean all led our team with tackles with all over 100. Grady Jarrett with 19 tackles for loss. Marcus McCain with 16, 11 for Javon Hargrave, 9 for Bobby Wagner, 5 for Jamel Dean. So our guys really getting in there. Sacks, not the best in the world, 6.5 for 2 of our players in McCain and Jarrett. 6 for Bobby Wagner, 3.5 for Walker Hargrave, 3 for Autry, 2 for Ebiketie. So just not there. The pass rush is not there at all. And if our defense is struggling still, that is why. I think one of the best keys to a good defense is pass rush. And it's really telling when your second middle linebacker is getting, 6 sacks a season. That really shows you what's wrong with your team. Handful of players getting picks here. It's also bad when Ebiketie's dropping back into the pass coverage game and getting a pick. That shouldn't be happening. Forced fumbles, 1 for Jeff Okudah. No fumble recoveries. No Falcons in the MVP discussion. I don't know how with Will Turner putting up those stats. We were second in Coach of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year. Nobody really here at the top. I know Drake London is down here at 9. So Will Turner just still not getting any love. Bobby Wagner ending up at 8 for Defensive Player of the Year as an 80. Will Turner wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, followed by Dudley Howard. Joe Carrington is down there at 3 So good to see our guys getting some love, at least in the rookie conversation. Marcus McCain gets just barely beat out for Defensive Rookie of the Year, as well as Corey Whitfield. At the re-sign period, we do have to bring back players like Von Bell, Javon Hargrave, Bobby Wagner, Anthony Walker Jr., Richie James, Frank Clark, Richie Grant, Drew Dahlman, Taquan Graham, Jalen Mayfield. There's two. I mean, hell, I would like to bring back all these guys if I'm being honest, but the price of them in the re-sign period is not what they're actually worth. You know, you're going to have to pay more money for exclusive rights to them than if you were to let them walk. I figured you guys didn't need to see me not be able to sign anybody back, so I'm going to be franchise tagging Drew Dahlman. Everybody else can walk. If I can get him back in free agency, great. If not, it's whatever. In free agency, we are going to expect some big things with plenty of money to go around, $91 million, even after franchise tagging Drew Dahlman. So we can definitely go after some very key positions here and hopefully put this team in a position to make it and win a Super Bowl. In the first eval period, we are going after Charles Omenihu, Joe Tryon, Javon Hargrave, Von Bell, and Micah Parsons. All these guys can make either immediate impact or just good hole fillers for the time being. We are going after Joe Tryon, Charles Omenihu, Bobby Wagner, Anthony Walker, and Milton Williams. All these guys, once again, just good hole fillers, good veterans for the time being. Joe Tryon, Charles Omenihu, Jarvis Landry, Jonathan Cooper, and Zach Ertz are our free agents of this next period. Most of these guys either have mentor badge or they're actual good development pieces and good backups for the foreseeable future. Michael Pierce, Jordan Poyer, Dietrich Wise, Jarvis Landry, Zach Ertz, Trey Hopkins, Justin Watson, Samson Ebukam are some of the key veterans that we're going after here in one of the last periods that we're actually going to be taking part of. Most of these guys have mentor tags, which will get us extra XP going into training and stuff, as well as just good veteran backups. They're low 70s and they're not getting much money to begin with, or if they are, they're on a one-year deal. After free agency, this is kind of how the team is shaking out to be. We have Jarvis Landry, Zach Ertz, Mo Alley Cox now in here. We have some backups that have the mentor badge, mentor tag, so they're going to be getting a little bit more XP towards our younger guys. We just have some key veteran pieces. We have some older guys filling in some spots for us, at least for the next couple years, while we slowly develop some of this young talent. In this year's draft, we are still looking to upgrade that front seven on the defensive side of the ball. Now, offensive line is still an issue as well. We still need some of those interior pieces to come in and help fill out. But overall, I think we're in a good spot. I don't think we need any weapons on the outside on both defense or offense. But if there's one available that looks like it could be a key difference maker, we'll still end up taking them. After looking at the scouting reports and looking at the mock drafts, I have a couple players in mind. Now, I'm going to be having to trade up for some of these pieces to take who I really want. And if that includes interdivisional trading, we've seen it in years past, and especially recently, of interdivisional trading during draft night, so I don't think that's very unusual. But let's go to the pick that I think my guy's going to fall to, and then I'll jump in and try to grab him. So we're going to end up having to trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now it's just a question of what exactly do we give up. I'm going to be giving up Jonathan Cooper in pick 11 of next year for pick 8 of this year from the Bucs. We're going to go get our guy right now. We're going to be taking middle linebacker Bobby Brown out of Ole Miss. He's 100% scouted. He's a round 1 talent. He is our next guy. He's going to come in, play that middle linebacker role. We're finally going to get our young guy in here, and he's going to lead this defense. Hopefully he can improve this defense as well. Hidden dev trait, 91 speed, 82 strength, 88 acceleration, 82 agility, 70 change of direction, and 75 jumping. At 21 years old with a hidden dev trait, he should develop very nicely over the next couple years for us. I know we just franchise tagged Drew Dahlman, but we're going to be sending him a first and a third. Trading up to pick number 9, we're going to be taking a center. He's going to be younger, more talented, hopefully. And it just makes more sense than keeping Drew Dahlman. We're going to send him to a team that might actually be able to re-sign him and want him in the long term. Tyreek Cox out of California will be our next pick. Run support, 5'11", 225. Hidden dev trait, 88 speed, 85 jumping, 88 change of direction, 88 agility, 92 acceleration. He's going to be a beast in that run support game. 225. Could almost drop down to backer, but he's going to be our next free safety in Atlanta. Manny Barnett, left guard out at Texas, 6'5", 315, 22 years old, pass protector. He's going to have a little bit lower strength, but he does have a hidden dev trait. He should come in, help us out right away in our offensive line needs. We're going to be sending a second and a third of this year and a second of next year for pick number 19 of this year's draft. Just going up and getting another guy that I really, really like. Jonathan Edwards, defensive tackle out of UCF. He'll come in. Hell, he's a top fit right away. He'll probably come in and start. 21 years old, 337, 6'2", run stopper, 99 strength, 60 speed, 77 acceleration. He is a pure run stopper. He will stop everything in their tracks. Joseph Holmes, safety out of Mississippi State, 23 years old, 5'11", 208 zone. He's going to come in, fill right alongside Tyreek Cox. They're going to be our new safety duo, and they're going to play lights out on that backside. Going to be taking one of the last players on my board, Eric Gonzalez, center out of Iowa, 22 years old, 298, 6'4" pass protector. This is why we traded Drew Dahlman away. He's going to come in, fill that hole at center that we just ended up getting rid of. A 4, a 5, and a 5 this year gets me a 3 and a 6 of next year from the Green Bay Packers. There's nobody left on my board that I need to take. A 6, a 7, and a 7 of this year gets me a 5 next year from the Patriots. Again, nobody on the board. Looking at the draft recap, we ended up taking Bobby Brown, Tyreek Cox, Manny Barnett, Jonathan Edwards, Joseph Holmes, and Eric Gonzalez. 5 first-rounders, a third-rounder. I mean, we walked away very well. These are going to be young guys that can develop over the next couple years. Hopefully get us to the promised land of a Super Bowl once and for all. Going to be trading off some backup depth here. Jack Sanborn, Matt Hennessy, and Mac Wilson for Sterling Kirkpatrick. He's going to come in and play alongside Bobby Brown in a third-round pick. It gets accepted. This could be the start of something great. We're at the start of Season 3, so let's go ahead and take a look at the roster and see how the team is shaking up in advance of Season 3. Looking at this offense, a lot of returns, nothing quite new besides the 2 rookies that we just brought in, as well as Zach Ertz and Jarvis Landry in free agency. Now, this offense should be off the rails. With X factors what seem to be almost everywhere, we should be just fine. The biggest question mark will be our run game, as well as how well this offensive line does develop over these next couple seasons. They are the key to success. Taking a look at the defensive side of the ball, this team has been vastly upgraded, whether it's rookies in different areas of the field or even young guys just in general. Our front 7 has been upgraded in terms of youth and overalls. Bobby Brown and Sterling Kirkpatrick should be able to slow down the run, and especially with the helps of Jonathan Edwards and Dietrich Wise. On the back end, Joseph Holmes and Tyreek Cox should slow down any pass games, and I think this could turn out to be a very good secondary. Jamel Dean, a 4th and a 7, go to the Bucks for a 2 first. I know this is an interdivisional trade, but they're one of the only teams that had 2 first. Jamel Dean is quite at the age of regression, as well as he's in the last year of his contract. With Jeff Okudah and many other defensive backs that we've recently drafted or acquired, this makes the most sense for our team.
So at the midseason mark, we are 6-1. We lost 2. Some team in our division. I don't remember exactly who. It wouldn't be the Saints, of course, because they're 0-7. But overall, the team is looking very nice. Now, we have completed a lot of our goals and a lot of our things that have popped up. So a lot of guys have gotten quite a few upgrades over these first 8 weeks. The offensive line's looking very good. And if you ask me, I think center and guard combo is probably one of the easiest to get around in terms of if they're not great, mainly because you can have these 2 double team and leave these 3 all on islands, if anything. Kyle Pitts is looking good. Carrington's looking good. Turner's looking good. London's looking good. Gabe Davis actually got 2 upgrades over the course of the season so far. Brown and Kirkpatrick getting upgrades is great. Cox getting an upgrade is great. Okudah did have to move up in the cornerback depth chart. Von Bell's also going to fill in at that 4th cornerback spot. But team's looking really, really nice. I'm not even going to lie. I think we have a chance here. Biggest problem is going to be Ebiketie, having to bring him back. We do have to negotiate with Grady Jarrett as well. And then Tyler Algier. So we're not in the greatest situation, but we have plenty of money too. So I think as long as we finish strong, we should have a very serious chance at the Super Bowl. We do have some contract negotiations. Tyler Algier is at the top of it. 25, I would like to keep him around for 5 years, if anything. I think his penalty won't be too high if we do keep him around this long. And he does want to stay, which is great.
At the end of the regular season, we went 11-6. We ended up losing twice to the Saints. We actually gave them their first one of the season, so it was kind of a down second half. But hopefully we can turn things around and become a playoff win team now. We've made the playoffs twice. Now we got to win some. Once again, not going to hop into the game. Just going to let it sim out as we are only in Season 3. It's not that important for us to win any games. We do end up making a comeback. Can we win 28-21 against the Dallas Cowboys? We will be moving on to the divisional at least. An NFC South matchup here in the divisional. The 11-6 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 10-7 Carolina Panthers. Brian Burns has turned into a 97. If this was a real game, I would be getting my ass chewed because he would have like 6 sacks. So, hopping into this one, we start off 7-0. Here in the third, it's still a low-scoring game, 14-7, 14-14, 21-14, 28-21 in the final minutes of the divisional round. We are going to the NFC Championship. Another NFC South matchup here in the NFC Championship game. This could be very dangerous as we've already played twice. So this third time around, will it be any different? Let's get things underway. We go up 14-3 in the second quarter, 14-6, 13-14, 21-13, 21-16, 24-24, 27-24, and we will end up going to the Super Bowl. We are Super Bowl bound. We are NFC champs once again. Can we right the curse of Matt Ryan? In the Super Bowl, we are going to be taking on the 9-8 Buffalo Bills. Will they lose their 5th Super Bowl, or will we lose our 2nd? Which curse will be written off, and which team will end up in history books once and for all? At least for a good reason. Let's be honest. Losing 4 Super Bowls and having one of the biggest leads choked ever in the Super Bowl, if not the biggest, it's kind of iconic, and you're in the history books for the wrong fucking reason.
Ready to die on the hill that you built out of lies and deception, raising your weapon. Every word you speak dripping with venom. You're playing with fire.
Let's get into the Super Bowl. We start off fast, 7-0, 7-7 tied up, 14-7, 14-14 all, 21-14 at half, 35-14, 45-14, 48-21. No, 48-27 is the final score. The Atlanta Falcons finally win their first Super Bowl. Will Turner, in his rookie year, his second year, leads the Falcons to a Super Bowl. Insane. What a team. What a run. But let's stick around for a couple more seasons, at least for season 4. Will Turner ended up throwing for 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 11 picks, 70 completion percentage, over 300 yards a game. Man, he's good. Tyler Algier got 243 attempts, 990 yards, 4.1 average, 21 touchdowns. Gibson and Turner added another 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. Of course, some other guys got some rush attempts in there, but what a season for this Falcons team. Drake London caught 91 balls for 1,350 yards, 14 touchdowns. Joe Carrington, 80 receptions, 1,188 yards, 5 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, 97 catches, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Gabe Davis, 66 catches, 766 yards, 6 touchdowns. And the running backs even got involved. Hell, Jarvis Landry had 5 catches for a touchdown. Jesus, this receiving core is deadly. On the defensive side of things, Sterling Kirkpatrick, 134 tackles. Bobby Brown, 123. And Corey Whitfield, 100. With him moving into the slot this year, he saw an explosion in tackles. 16 TFLs for Jarrett, 11 for McCann, 10 for Kirkpatrick, 10 for Dietrich Wise, 8 for Whitfield. 8.5 sacks for Ebiketie, 8 for Dietrich Wise, 7.5 for Marcus McCann, 4 for Sterling Kirkpatrick, 3 for Jarrett, 2 for Bobby Brown, 2.5 for Ebicom, 2 for Hargrave, and 1 for a handful of players. Defense played pretty well too. 3 picks for Kirkpatrick, Terrell, Okuda, 2 for Brown, 2 for Whitfield, 2 for Cox, and 1 for Holmes. Man, this defense really came to play. Will Turner finished second in MVP voting. I think the big reason why he didn't finish number 1 is because of the amount of touchdowns that Tyler Algier had, as well as the fact that Jacksonville did technically have a better record, so, that could probably come into play a little bit as well. Tyler Algier and Drake London both make the list for Offensive Player of the Year. At least they got some voting. I'm glad to see that at least, as well as Will Turner had a good season as well. and not winning the MVP does allow you to be on the Offensive Player of the Year voting. Defensive Player of the Year, yeah, we had Sterling Kirkpatrick at 9. It's not terrible, but nothing too great. We won't have any Offensive Rookie of the Year voting because of our linemen, our rookies on offense. Bobby Brown, Tyreek Cox, and Joseph Holmes all make Defensive Rookie list. Just looking at the guys coming off contract, a lot of these guys are older veteran pieces that were, placeholders for a while. A lot of them don't make sense to come back. I would love to bring back Ebiketie, but with it being his best season and he's already 27, it's very hard to bring him back for the price that he wants. I think we can find somebody better in free agency or even in the draft. Free agency week 1, eval period 1, Alvin Kamara, Grady Jarrett, BJ Hill, Khalil Mack, and Desmond Ridder. I would like to bring back Desmond Ridder for the storyline. Khalil Mack, BJ Hill, and Grady Jarrett all help out that front 7, and Alvin Kamara would be a good complimentary back to Tyler Algier and keep him in the NFC South. So I didn't feel like showing everything in the free agency period. I just figured it's going to be a lot of backups. It's going to be a lot of just filling out the roster. But we brought back a lot of guys that we had on the roster beforehand. Now, granted, we did have to bring in some different guys because of regression. But a lot of guys we brought back that are going to be mentor pieces that are going to be on this team and just going to be filling a role for a while. / they've already been here. So they've come back. The biggest name really was BJ Hill coming and Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack will be taking over that role that was left by Ebiketie, and BJ Hill will be taking over for one of the defensive tackle spots. Going to be trading up with the Broncos here. I want to go get the guy that I particularly enjoy. So 2 firsts and a third, get it done. Let's go get our guy. Jared Poole out of TCU, 6'2", 244, 22 years old, speed rusher. He looks great. He's going to be our next guy. He'll sit and learn, or he'll even play, just depending on how I'm feeling at the time. I think he could be a beast. Our last defensive tackle that we took was just a pure run stopper. I know it says Brian Holcomb's also a run stopper, but hopefully he can be a bit better in the pass rush. He has 73 speed, 95 strength, 81 acceleration. He's 6'5", 315, 22 years old out of Notre Dame. I think he could be a little bit better in the pass rush game than Jonathan Edwards. Trevor Scott here out of USC, 21 years old, 5'10", 204, running back. He has 91 speed, 92 acceleration, 88 agility, 93 change of direction, 85 jumping, 66 strength. He's a receiving back. He's going to get paired up with Tyler Algier since we did not get Alvin Kamara. Trading back up into the second, trading a 3 of this year, a 2 of next year to the Dolphins for a 2 of this year gets us back in the second round. Corey Barnes out of Texas A&M. He's 6', 243, 22 years old. Field general, 91 speed, 90 acceleration, 86 agility, 75 change of direction, 72 jumping, 76 strength with a hidden dev trait. Sterling Kirkpatrick played amazing, but he will probably be taking over for Sterling Kirkpatrick here in the near future. This is the draft recap. We walked away with some pretty high overalls, some guys with some dev traits. I think this is the perfect way to start season 4. Also, I would have traded away every other draft pick that I did not take. I'm not going to take somebody I don't like. It's as simple as that.
4, and we're going to hop straight into things. We're going to go to adjust the lineups. I did have to cut a few people, but not too many. The team looks basically the same as last year, besides some backup positions like tight end and, of course, backup center. We did end up cutting Benedict Franklin, or whatever the fuck his name was, and we did replace him with Trevor Scott. So that is one major thing. We did end up cutting a couple of the linebackers that we didn't need. So Walker will actually be 4th, but Bobby Brown, Sterling Kirkpatrick, and Corey Barnes will be our first 3 off the bench. Of course, nobody else really had to be cut, though. So it's basically the same team as last year, besides a couple backups that are different. Like, I'm being serious. It's basically the same team. So let's see how they do, and if we can get back to the Super Bowl.
At the midseason mark, we are 5-2. We're going to be going into Week 8 against the Minnesota Vikings, who are currently 4-2. Just looking at some negotiations that we will have to take a look at over this next couple weeks. We do have some of our key veterans and our key backups coming off contract, which is expected, as most of those guys are on one-year deals anyway. But some of the ones that I do want to keep around, of course, are Joe Chiron, BJ Hill, Younghoe Koo, and Drake London. Now, can we bring all of them back? Hopefully, but probably not. So apparently in season 4, going 10-7 just isn't good enough to get to the playoffs. Because we would be in the playoffs since we're the second seed in our own division. So that kind of sucks, especially when you have a better team than you did last year. That kind of just blows ass, you know. But hey, can't always win them. Will Turner, 5,300 yards, 44 touchdowns, 14 picks. Tyler Algier had 1,129 yards, 4.3 yard average, 12 touchdowns. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Joe Carrington, all over 1,000 yards. Drake London over 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns for Pitts, 3 for Carrington, 4 for Gabe Davis, 3 for Scott, our rookie running back. But everybody kind of took a step back in a way. I think Pitts had 1 more yard than he did last year, so that's the good news, I guess. Kirkpatrick had another great year. The defense had a pretty good year. Just sacks, man. Sacks are killing us. We can't get pressure on the quarterback, which leads to probably the back end getting cooked, which means they gotta, drop back more, which opens up room for the running lanes. I don't know what to tell you. We're gonna get season 5 started off really fast. We're not even gonna bother with free agency or the draft. Well, free agency kind of, I had to go bring a couple people back, but we're basically going to run it back just with a couple different things. We have a different backup running back. We brought in a couple different backup running backs and stuff. I let the CPU draft. They didn't do a good job. So this is the offense. We're going to run it back right now. This is the defense as well. We went out and got a couple guys. Sherman and St. Louis we brought in. We brought in a couple backups as well. Eddie Jackson, Von Bell came in. Dante Jackson, Shaquille Griffin, and just a couple defensive tackles here and there. But other than that, let's get things underway right now. We went 11-6, and our first game in the wild card is going to be against the 10-7 Eagles. I'm going to show you guys the playoff picture. So we are in the 5th seed. Hopefully, we can bring one out, at least make a deep playoff run. That's all I'm hoping for. We ended up beating the Eagles 31-24 in the wild card, so now we are in the divisional against the 13-4 Chicago Bears. They have a 99 overall quarterback, which I would love to see in my lifetime. So let's get into it. In the NFC Championship game, we're going to be taking on the 11-6 Arizona Cardinals after beating the Chicago Bears 55-31 in the divisional round. Let's see if we can get back to our second Super Bowl in 3 years and win our second Super Bowl in 3 years. Okay, let's get things started off. Arizona starts off with 7-0, then 7-7, 10-7 now here in the third, 14-10, 17-21, 24-24. We're going to overtime, and we win the game. We'll see you guys in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, we're going to be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, who went 15-2 and were the best record team in the entire NFL. Josh Jacobs, 99 overall, almost 2,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 6 yards a carry. He is leading that offense. He must be carrying it because they're only an 83 on offense. Can we win our second Super Bowl in 3 years and end this rebuild on a high note? Let's get things underway. Jesus, no scoring for a little bit. 14-7 now all of a sudden. 21-7, 21-14, 28-21, 28 all, 35 all, 42-38, and we are not victorious. And with that, the rebuild is over. In 5 years, we went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, went to the playoffs 3 times. Overall, that's a successful journey. If season 5, if I would have taken my time and done it like every other season, hell, we probably could have kept going for quite some time. Now, some of the weapons that we did end up drafting would come back to bite us in the butt later, maybe in 2 to 3 seasons if we continue to play. But hell, this was a good stopping point to begin with. If you guys enjoy this content or any other content here on my channel, I would appreciate if you guys stick around, subscribe, and go check some of that stuff out. I do roster updates for 2K and Madden. And with the offseason well underway for the NFL, more and more updates for that will be coming out. Now, the latest roster is live, so go check that out. With that being said, guys, if you guys enjoy this video, I would appreciate if you guys stick around. But with that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.